What's going on, everybody? We're just going to see what errors we have here. All right. We've got Monday night? Yeah, Monday night. Saints versus Chiefs. This is a weird one, okay? The pricing is definitely a little bit different. Take a look at the inputs here. We've got some really interesting options here. The biggest issue that I foresee is obviously the fact that who knows where the receiving options for the Chiefs are going to go. I mean, nobody knows, right? I think the biggest issue that we're dealing with here is trying to settle in on a captain. Now, all of the captain ownership seems to be consolidated really around three people: Mahomes, Kamara, and Kelsey. Now, out of all of that, Kamara is the least negatively leveraged. He's shown up in the optimal captain about 14% of the time, and he's being owned about 17% of the time. Some of the other captains that are, a little bit more owned, we've got Olave at 9%. We've got Kareem Hunt at about 11% owned, Shaheed at 6%, and Derek Carr at 7%. From there, it kind of just drops off. Justin Watson's coming in at like 1% owned, but it's very strange because there's a few people on here. The other thing I like to look at when using the simulator is, where's the leverage going? Who's showing up in the optimals more often than what people are owning, right? So tonight it's a little bit strange. So we've got Samaje Perine, who's the highest leveraged player out there. He's only going to be owned about 10% of the time, but he's showing up in the optimals about 24% of the time. And then we could love to see it. Fantastic Blake Groupie, the kicker for the Saints, being owned only about 17% of the time, but showing up with the optimal about 17% of the time. And then this is a little bit surprising to me. Xavier Worthy. Now, they priced him way up, and I guess that people are just not wanting to pay exactly that price for him. But at $9,000, he's only going to be 17% owned. And he's showing up in the optimal about 25% of the time. So that's definitely something that I really want to try and get some exposure to. Coming in, the captain leverage isn't as much there. He's only, he is showing in up in the captain 1% more than people are owning him. But I think it's going to be a great option just because, he's a rookie. He's not going to be utilized a lot. But for me, I'm trying to look at spike players that can really make a large impact. I don't really have a huge interest of playing guys like Juju Smith-Schuster and stuff like that. Like, I'll take my gambles. I really like Kareem Hunt. I don't care that he's going to be negatively leveraged in, the numbers that I'm seeing here. He's only going to be owned about 31% of the time. I'm probably going to have him in about 50% of my lineups. Just because after Carson Steele fumbled, he came in and he had 17 carries last game. So, they obviously trust him. Perine, I think you could play Perine and Hunt together, and I think that's something that nobody is going to do, right? As far as Travis Kelsey, he's going to be the big option. But again, look, here's the other thing. People are just saying, oh, man, Kelsey's going to smash tonight. Look, the Saints have some linebackers hurt, okay? Willie Gay is not going to play. Pete Warner is not going to play. But they also, have been planning for this game all week and realize that. And they say, okay, who are we going to want to eliminate, right? Now, I'm not saying to full fade Travis Kelsey, but look, just temper your expectations of what you think you're going to get out of Kelsey tonight. If the Saints defense is just going to focus all of their points around Kelsey, I think it's good to get that exposure elsewhere, right? I really think that Noah Gray, if you go back and look at, red zone targets this year, Noah Gray is tied with Travis Kelsey for red zone targets this year, which is wild. But, it's something that on one game slate, look, Noah Gray is, not some smash spot. But I think at 2,600, I would much rather play Noah Gray than Juju Smith-Schuster, who I just don't think is very good, right? Justin Watson's the other interesting option, I think. He's going to be out there running, the bulk of the routes tonight. Xavier, I think he's probably going to play more snaps than Xavier Worthy, and all these guys are cheap too, right? So it might be, while a lot of people are playing Mahomes at captain, I think it's obviously you can see why, right? Because he could just spread it around. You have no idea where it's going to go, and then from there, it's like, okay, like you could definitely see where that works out, right? And I don't mind it. I think I would probably rather just play Kamara at captain, and then just go from there. Raheed Shaheed, he's an interesting one. He's had a couple of zeros. I mean, if he doesn't catch one of those long touchdowns, he's basically dust. No Taysom Hill tonight, so you're going to either have Juwan Johnson, who is massive negative leverage. He's going to be pretty highly owned, but only shows up in the optimals about half the amount of time that he's being owned, right? I think Foster Moreau is an interesting play. Depending on how many lineups you're playing, I'm probably going to be fading McCole Hardman tonight at 12% owned. I would rather play Sky Moore at 1% owned than McCole Hardman. I just don't know if I can get there. But there's some interesting options. So let's go look at what some of the custom lineups that they pumped out. I'm going to look at the predicted dupes here to see, sort from largest. So the lineup that is going to be projected, I guess, to be the highest owned or duped the most, is going to be Kamara at the captain, Justin Watson at the flex, Juwan Johnson, Kareem Hunt, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. So it's going to be a 5-1, a 4-2, right? Because you got Juwan Johnson in there. So, I mean, that's an interesting lineup, but it doesn't even sim out, some of the best, right? Some of the lineups that, that the optimizer or the sim shot out, I think are pretty interesting. The top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the top 5 lineups are projected to be duped 6 times or less. So in big fields, that's not the one I probably like the best is the 4-2. When we're playing Showdown, obviously the 3-3 builds can get you there, but most people are going to do that. Most people are not going to feel very comfortable doing a 4-2 or a 5-1. It feels weird to only play like, wait a second, like, am I really only going to play one guy on the other side? Yeah, like, I've won a lot of Showdown just doing that, simply from his standpoint of getting weird, right? So if we look at this one where it has Travis Kelce at the captain, Kamara, groupie, like that, because kicker, no one's going to play a kicker, right? Mason Tipton, Patrick Mahomes, and Rashid Shaheed. That's a really unique lineup that not a lot of people are going to get to. But again, we go back to before, right? We're saying that, if we think that Travis Kelce is going to get a lot of attention, then maybe that is not the best possible one to look at, right? Or if you are going to play Kelce at the captain, I think you got to go full game stack and play like Kelce at captain, Kamara, then like pick from Noah Gray, Mahomes, Worthy, and then like Juju or whoever else you want to put in there, right, for that last spot. I think that's kind of the better way, I think, to build, personally. But like if you think if you think KC just absolutely rolls them, I like 5-1 builds where you just build like Mahomes, Watson, P. Ryan, Kelce, Worthy with Blake Groupie as the one in there, right? Or, that's leaving a lot of money on the table and not a lot of people are going to do that. You just think that, the Saints are going to lose. That's probably like a 27 to like 16 build where Groupie just keeps kicking field goals all over the place, right? So that's definitely interesting. I really like Worthy at captain. I also think that Shaheed in a larger field, even if you're only playing single entry, is a really interesting option. And now this one, like that I'm looking at right here, doesn't sim out great, but sometimes you want to play some of those lineups, right? Where if you play like a 5-1 Saint stack and the one person for the Chiefs is Harrison Butker, not a lot of people are going to be doing that, right? You could certainly finish dead last with that lineup for sure, right? But you could also make some pretty good options there. I really like the 5-1s with Mahomes as the captain and then just kind of spreading it out. And then obviously guys are so cheap today, the Chiefs pass catching options, that you kind of just have to play Kamara, which again, it correlates to what we see in the, the sim ownership that, because most of the Chiefs options and honestly the Saints options as well are so cheap that, that's why Mahomes is aggregating towards the captain the most, right? I definitely think that one interesting way to play this tonight would definitely be playing the Chiefs in the captain spot. The Saints have been absolutely decimated on their offensive line, right? So I think that, I'm not a guy personally who plays a lot of defenses, but I think that playing the Kansas City defense tonight is definitely a pretty sharp play. Like I built the lineup earlier that, left a good amount of money on the table, had Kelsey in the captain, had the Chiefs, Hunt, Mahomes, Worthy, and then I picked one run back from the Saints, right? Whoever you can fit into that build, you kind of just pick it and go. So, I think that that's a pretty good option. Just looking at a few of these other builds, I like playing both kickers tonight. That's something that, even looking at the Sims in the projected lineups, that not a lot of people are going to do. I think the Olave captain build lends itself to a lot of differentiation as well, because not a lot of people are going to play Olave in the captain, but I definitely like that in like a 4-2 kind of situation, right? So I think that that's probably not going to be like the highest scoring lineup. So like if you think that, this game goes over, which I do think the total sitting right now at 43, I do think it is going to go over. I'm actually betting the over just on a single bet tonight. But I like Olave quite a bit. But purely from the standpoint of the Chiefs have a good pass rush. And if I'm picking a Saints receiver over, Olave or Shaheed, I'm going to tend to err on the side of Olave probably, just because I don't think that there's going to be a lot of time for those big Shaheed, deep route, Derek Carr, moonball kind of shots to be available, right? I think that's going to be very difficult for the Saints to dial up tonight for, obvious reasons. So, I think that, from a punt standpoint, I think Mason Tipton from the from the Saints at $1,000 is a nice option. I would much rather go to him over like a Cedric Wilson, right? I think Mason Tipton and Cedric Wilson's actually $400 more. Tipton's been playing a little bit more, so I like that. Sky Moore's a really dirty play, but I don't think that you have to go down there, right? I really think that you should take a look at playing. Chiefs right now are only coming in. Their defense is coming in only about 16% owned, which I think is far too low. And then if you look at the kickers, Butker's coming in at 24%. Groupie is only coming in at 17%. I think you got to play both of the kickers tonight. I really like those lineup options, playing both of the kickers together. My personal favorite captains, I really think that, either Olave or Shaheed, whichever one you guys want to pick, is going to be good. Kamara is going to be, obviously really popular, but it makes a ton of sense. I really want nothing to do with Jamal Williams. I think that, personally, how I think this game is going to go tonight, I do think it's probably going to be like a field goal game. But I think it reaches the over, which it doesn't really need. I mean, like a 27-20 game and you're 4 points or 4 points over the total at 43 right now, right? So I definitely think that rationale. I'm going to be playing, like I said, I usually don't play a lot of defenses, but tonight I think that the Chiefs is a nice option. And in those lineups, like that's like a Hunt at captain, Chiefs, Butker, Groupie, and then kind of fill from there. Definitely like a 4-2 kind of build. Maybe add like an Olave and then somebody else, right? So that's kind of where I'm going tonight. It's definitely going to be kind of different. I normally don't play a ton of lineups. I'm playing this kind of the same dollar amount, but more lineups tonight, just because I think that it's going to be kind of look. No one knows where the ball is going to go, right? But I definitely think that one way for the Chiefs, especially for you to get different, is to play Noah Gray and Travis Kelce in the same lineup. And I think you're going to get a lot of red zone targets that way. You can even play, Xavier Worthy in that same lineup as well. I that's kind of where I'm going tonight. I think the Chiefs win. I think it could be like a 3 to 4 point game. But I could also see the Chiefs just absolutely rolling if they get the defense going, right? And that's going to be tough. But in those builds, I think that if you're going to prioritize one Saint, I think it's got to be Kamara, just because he's going to get so much dump off work. Olave as well, right? I really like where if you can build a lineup with 4 Saints and it still be like a Chiefs path to victory, right? And on the run back on the other side, maybe you play like Hunt and Butker, and you just hope that Hunt gets 2 touchdowns and that they kick some field goals, and then maybe Mahomes throws it to one random person who isn't very highly owned. I think that's a lineup that you can build that has 4 Saints, 2 Chiefs, but the Chiefs are still going to roll, but then you get all the PPR points on DraftKings from them trying to come back, kind of running like a hurry-up style offense. So that's really all I got today, guys. Went live so that way, Vin's on the road. We could get this posted. But yeah, hit me up on X at JJ McIntosh if you guys have any questions or anything like that. Feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm happy to kind of chat about it. And I'll post some stuff on X here on Twitter in a little bit, just with like my top 2 captains plays, and then if you guys have questions from there, definitely reach out on the post, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. But I definitely think that you should challenge yourself tonight and just build a 4-2 or a 5-1. 3. I'm not saying a 3-3 lineup can't get there, but it's just what most people are going to do. And challenge yourself too to try and build some 4-2s with the Saints, even if you think that you tell yourself the story that the Chiefs are going to win. That's all I got today, guys. Thank you so much. It looks like we got 32 people tuned in here. Like, subscribe. We really do appreciate all the support that we get. We just do this as kind of a hobby, but we're pretty good at it, and we've helped some people win some pretty good money. So, check out the process. If you guys want to know what tools I'm using, I use Run the Sims. I use the Sim Runner and the in the lineup generator. I don't do 150 lineups, but I like to look at what lineups are being generated. Because like tonight I am playing in tournaments, not the Millionaire Maker, but I am playing in the $10 where you can max 150. And if I'm going to try and play against, I think I'm going to play like 12 lineups in that. If I'm going to try and play against that, I got to get a little bit weird in those. But I definitely, usually mostly concentrate on the single entries and then 3 maxes too. Enjoy the game tonight. Good luck and have fun. Later.